Okay, good morning. Um, Sorry my voice is a little hoarse, so if you don't understand anything or something, just let me know. Um, and this is also going to be split into two different videos. So make sure that you watch both videos. So this is the first video. Um, so if you are on video number, no, never mind. Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about factoring, which is going to be a new concept. So it is the opposite of what you just did in Unit 6. So instead of making polynomials bigger, we are actually going to split them apart and make them smaller. And there are several different ways how to do this, which is why we have like 7.3.1, 7.3.2, and so on and so forth. So let's go through some vocab first. So first of all, we are going to be calling these factors. So these are numbers and or variables that are multiplied together to get a certain result. So this is after you break them apart, and they're as small as they can be. So prime numbers are a whole number in which its only factors are 1 and itself. So some examples of that would be 1 is prime because you can only get 1 by multiplying 1 times 1. 2 is prime because the only way that you can get 2 is 2 times 2. 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, so on and so forth. So that number keeps going. So composite numbers are whole numbers that has more than 2 factors. So the 2 factors being 1 in itself. So examples of that is like 4, because you can get 4 by doing 1 times 4 and 2 times 2. 6, 1 and 6, 3 and 2. 8, 9, 12, 15, 25, so on and so forth. So prime factorization is expressing a number as a product. So remember, product means multiply. Of prime factors. So basically it is you getting a number into its simplest form. Okay, so let's do an example. Okay, so starting with 24. Think of two numbers that when multiplied together equal the given number. Now, I picked 24 because there are multiple different ways that you can go about this, but you'll end up getting the same answer. So let's do all of those at once. So 24 can either be 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 6 times 4. So now when you do this, you don't have to list out all three. I'm just showing you that it doesn't matter which factors you choose and you'll end up with the same answer. So leave any numbers that are prime and continue factoring the rest. So I usually circle these. So like 2 is prime, 3 is prime. So now we are going to continue factoring the rest. So with the numbers that we didn't circle, we are going to continue this, what I call a factor tree. So 12, again, we can go 2 different ways here. We can either do 6 and 2, or we can do 4 and 3. Doesn't really matter. So let's just do 4 times 3. Same with 8, we can do, no, that would just be 4 and 2, never mind. So 4 and 2. Then 6 is 3 times 2, and 4 is 2 times 2. So continue this process until all numbers are prime. So we are going to circle the ones that are prime again. So all these here are prime. So this one now is done because at the bottom of all our trees are all the circles, where the other 2 are not done yet. So both of them have these 4s, which is 2 times 2. 2 times 2. So the prime factorization of this, so when you do this, you want to go in descending order by your number, meaning that your biggest number is first. If you do have a negative, then your negative should go first. I'm pretty sure we have an example of that, so I'll show you that in a second. So now if you look at these, this has a 3 and 3 2s, a 3 and 3 2s, a 3 and 3 2s. So it doesn't matter which one we pick, and they're all the same. So we would go 3 times 2 times 2 times 2 because it's a multiplication product. Now, if we actually did this in our calculator, so if I did 3 times 2 times 2 times 2, you should end up getting your answer. Thank you. Okay, so let's now do some examples with some variables. So factored form is factoring a monomial. So remember, a monomial is just one term. So that is it is expressed as a product. Again, that's multiplication of prime numbers. So your prime factorization that we just did, and your variables. So the only difference between prime factorization and factored form is factored form you're going to have variables, where prime factorization you are not. So when you do this, no variable can have an exponent greater than 1. Okay. So we are just going to factor the number first. So 18 is 9 times 2. So 2 is prime, so I would circle that. And then 9 is 3 times 3. So then I would circle those. So I would start with my numbers. Again, it needs to go in descending order. So 3 times 3 times 2. Now, when it says x squared, remember going back to our exponent rules. To get an x squared, you would have x times x because you add your exponents. So you just put the number of x's or the number of your variable in which your exponent is. So because that is x squared or 2, I would put 2x's. At y cubed, so I would put 3y's. And it's in descending order for my numbers, and then in alphabetical order for my letters. Let's put that down. So we go biggest to smallest. And then for the variables, we go in A, B, C order. Okay, so let's do a couple of examples. So 38 is, and if you know that it's even and you don't necessarily know what multiplies to 20 or 38, you can just do 38 divided by 2 because you know that 2 is at least going to go into it because it's even. So that would be 2 times 19. And then 19 is prime. So both of those numbers are prime. So we would be done with that. So that would be 19 times 2. Then we've got an R, two S's, and then a T. Okay, so I want you to do number 2 on your own. Then number 3. So here we have a negative. Okay, if you've got a negative, then your first number in your factored form should be -1. And then you would just have this continued as normal. So 66 is 6 times 11. 11 is prime. Then 6 is 3 times 2. So times 11 times 3 times 2. So that's the only exception where you're going to have a smaller number first is when it's negative. So, and again, I can check to make sure that I did that right. So if I do -1 times 11 times 3 times 2, I should get -66, which I did. And then we've got 1A and 2 B's. Okay, so that is where I'm going to stop. So this is going to be video number 2. Let me know if you have any questions or if you couldn't hear me. Sorry again, I'm a little hoarse. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day. Bye.